some of the best podcasts I've heard was just a conversation of two people. And maybe there was like clues or points to what the guests did and what product they're selling or what business they're in. And maybe it comes at the end, like, oh, you have a book. Like, where can I buy your book? Where can people buy your book? Because what I learned is I'm just fascinated by you as an individual. And for the person that's truly I don't know what the word is, a buyer, someone who's in your market or whatever, they're going to go find out where your stuff is. That's just what they're going to do. And I get it. You want to make it frictionless. You want to make it easy. But it's like, oh, wow, I got to hear Christine talk about all these different things. And like, that's how I think about things. Like, whatever she's a part of and whatever she's doing, I can get on with that. And yeah, I'm going to be a guest on some podcasts coming up. So all of a sudden, it's like, I need to reach out to Christine then, right? So that's how I think people will think about it, as opposed to, well, no, the only reason I bought from you is because you threw an ad at the beginning of this, and then you did this, and then you showed, and it's like, no. That's disruption marketing. And that gets in the way of your authentic self and all that. And I'll say, like, the fact that you look at the titles and that tells you something, that's huge, right? That's incredible feedback to like, wow, like you think about it, but then you don't think about it. For the person to show up and to say, I want to have like an authentic conversation. I just want to have a conversation with this person. Where does that go to? Because I can go listen, because a lot of people you talk to, they have been on other podcasts. And if I want the backstory of that person and how they got to here, the rags to riches or whatever, I can go get that. And I'm happy to link to those shows so other people can go find it. But when you come on another show, can it be, no, this one's different? And it's hard, right? It's hard to get that across to guests and to the PR people that are coming out there. But anyway, you're thinking about something, you're going somewhere with it. I can see it. So like when I say all that, like what's coming to mind for you right now?
Yeah. I'm thinking about the world that a lot of us come from, which is like, we have a speaker page or we have our keynote topics, right?
Yeah.
And podcasting is so new.
Yep.
Compared to like public speaking and oration. I mean, we're talking about a couple of decades versus a couple of millennia. And so I think what happens is people are trying to figure out the replicable, scalable way to go on a podcast tour, to sell their books, to promote their brand, right? Their personal brand. You and I both have personal brands. Your last name is in the name of your company, right? Like there's no surprises here, right?
Yeah.
And I think what I have learned is that most people just treat it like a promotion, like solely a way of getting OPA, other people's audiences. And the way that I think about it is as this deep and also very leveraged form of a word that I used to hate until I found podcasting, which is networking.
Yep.
I really have been to maybe 2 in-person networking events in the 8 years that I've lived in the town that I live in. And there are a lot of reasons for that. I have young kids, I don't live downtown where all this stuff happens, blah, 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 blah. And like, if it was a priority, if it was something I enjoyed, I would figure out a way to do it. The truth is that and I think there are a lot of us who are just not here for the surface level, let's trade business cards.
Right.
Like, that is not, if you look at the people that I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars with, or that I've helped the most, or vice versa, like, that's not how I met them.
Yeah.
I met them through relationships, right? And so if we want to do attraction marketing, right, rather than disruption marketing, if we want to work with people who really deeply resonate with us, how do we do that at scale? How do we do that authentically? How do we create our own way of doing things? We're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Like, we're not trying to be like everyone else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, and it sounds like maybe for you, this is how we get to be who we really are. And the trappings, the mics, all the software, all of the things are the means, are the platform that we get to express who we really are.
Yeah. And once you go down that path, because at the beginning, it's very difficult. And I think it's like one of the number one reasons why people won't say start a podcast or appear on podcasts. It's like, what am I going to say? Who's going to care? What stories do I have to tell? I'm going to sound horrible. People are going to laugh at me. And quite honestly, yeah, maybe all of that's probably true to some degree, but it's also not. Like, it's also there is someone out there. It might, like I just had finished telling the story of Army Black Hawk pilot who wrote a book, and his mom read it. She was in her 90s. And she said, I didn't know all these stories. I didn't know you went through all of this. And to him, it was like, it didn't matter if only one person read that book. And the only not regret, but the only thing he wished is that his dad, who passed away when he was like 21, got to read it. But at least his mom got to read it. And that's it. Like, there's so many other reasons to be creating content, to have it be on a podcast. And it's not always about this, how many bicycles did I sell? There are transactions or projects inside of that, no doubt. But that storytelling that exists in that is so huge. And then that other word you used, which I agree with you, is leverage. It's like, well, what does leverage mean? And is leverage not a good thing? It's like, no, leverage is an incredible thing. Like, I've sat down with people. It's like just today, you and I are not having this conversation if I don't have a podcast, right? Because we were introduced by someone who's in the audio engineering space. So it was only because we were both in the podcasting world. And then there's other people you'll talk to, like, they reached out to us to be on our podcast. And we get to talk to this individual, and it could be to sell something and all that, but I get to spend an hour, 10 minutes, 2 hours with this person. What incredible leverage that is in a genuine way, right? Because leverage could be like, I'm going to take advantage of you. I'm going to use your audience for my benefit and my gain. That's a different story. We're not talking about that, because that all happens too, right? All of those good things that you need to happen will take care of itself, right? I believe, if we do enough of the good stuff. So maybe that's altruistic, but that's how I feel about it. Content Matterz with a Z is our content marketing company that helps entrepreneurs tell their own stories to those who care. And here's the thing. We think every entrepreneur that is willing should have their own content platform. And we want to help make that happen, both by working directly with entrepreneurs and by sharing our own stories, exploring the craft of content marketing. Content Matterz, one piece of content at a time. Learn more at KazContent.com.